Hello, hello. Welcome to Wish We Were Then. This is the show in which two great buddies go back in time to just figure out what life was like for people in the past. So often we find ourselves thinking about a year and go, man, what was it like back then? I wish I was then. And today, you, dear listener, you can journey back with us because we've been back in a specific year for the past week. We just got back this morning, and we collected our findings, and we're here to share them with you. Who's this we we're talking about? Well, I'm Trey, and over here is my friend, and his name is Mark.
Hey guys, I'm Mark. Welcome to Wish We Were Then.
I'm excited for this week, Mark. This is an interesting one.
I'm excited for this week.
I feel like this was a very, sort of a time capsule-y sort of a year that we looked at. I'll take a big, beefy American year this year, and please give me my year with extra cheese, please. That's what I feel like when I visited this year.
You're full of long hair, mullets, beautiful cars.
Just American flags, big business, saxophones and songs. The year we're looking at, did we say it was
1986?
1980. Hey, you know what? Let's 86 it on this one. Let's not do this year. Just kidding.
All right,
it was a great year. 1986 was an interesting year. I feel like looking into it, this was a year that really felt super had an identity. You know what I mean? A lot of times when you look at different times, it's like, oh, they were looking into the future, it's like a lot of stuff is like, oh, what's going to happen in space and stuff like that. And then, that kind of was happening here, but it was like currently happening. It wasn't like a lot of sci-fi stuff. Like there wasn't a lot of sci-fi things happening in a lot of the pop culture, which you kind of see a little earlier than this and, again, a little later. But at this point, everyone was like, we're fucking doing it. Go, go, go. America's on top and we're killing it. You know what I mean?
I think that it was a great time, in the American economy and everything else. But at the same time, when we looked back at, the music and stuff, I gotta say it was a lot of sad, somber.
That was a weird thing, because it definitely felt like there was a sense of, victory and accomplishment and everything else, and for some reason everyone was sad about breakups into the music, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's what most of because we do the top 5 here on Which We Were Then.
This year was, as I mentioned earlier, there is a big space thing to happen this year, so I got to just bring it up off top. The Challenger disaster occurred.
Mm-hmm. Really early in the year, too. January 28th.
Yeah, kicking off the year with... No, I'm not going to say that. Kicking the year off with a bang is what I was going to say, and then I ended up saying it anyway. It was 73 seconds into the flight.
Yeah.
7 people died, including, most notably, was Krista McAuliffe. She was a teacher from Concord, New Hampshire, and out of 11,000 applicants, she was chosen to go on this voyage. And, you're one of those 11,000 other applicants, and you're like, God damn it! And then you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe it's not that big of a bummer that I didn't get chosen.
Yeah, but at the same time, her name will be remembered.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's I didn't write down any other 7 or 6 people who died there. I don't know their names,
No, all the stuff I saw, that she was the forefront of most of it. But I guess the O-rings weren't rated for how cold it was.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Which is crazy, because it's just the factors that they take in. All these data points for these space launches and the years.
That's small to be
the
thing.
And a couple degrees of the weather is all it takes.
Yeah. I was just thinking about those 11,000 applicants, but then I also thought about there were 6 astronauts on this flight. And they all trained their whole lives to be astronauts, and they waited to get picked for this thing. And it's there's also one guy who didn't make it into the 6, and he's like, you couldn't send 7 fucking astronauts? We're sending a teacher? What's she gonna do? You know,
Well, she had to be qualified. I'm sure she's a teacher and she's like a physics.
I think she was just like a school teacher, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but she has to have some kind of science degree.
Maybe.
It's not like a bunch of English majors, like.
But she wasn't like training to be an astronaut. So it was just somebody who was like.
Yeah, I understand.
It's like we're sending 7 people to the Olympics, and one of them's a high school football coach. It's like, yeah, he definitely ran track in high school or something. It's been a while since he's done it. You don't think the other people who do it every day are like, God, come on, really? You know what I mean?
Did you see that movie A Million Miles Away?
No.
It's about the Hispanic guy who grew up basically picking fruit in the fields of Central California and became an astronaut. In the movie, he watches that happen.
The Challenger?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
It's a really good movie.
I'll check it
Did
out.
not come out in 1986 though.
But it has something to do with 1986. Oh, another movie that takes place in 1986 almost entirely. This one, not just one scene. I don't know how much of that movie is in 1986. But Hot Tub Time Machine, the year they go back to is 1986.
Huh. I'll have to rewatch that movie then.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch it this week or anything. It's been a long time since I saw it. But if you want to get an idea of like what the 86 looked like in a snowy mountain town, that movie will give you a perfect idea of it. Another thing that occurred this year, this one's kind of sucks, is the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986, and it enacted mandatory minimum sentences for, instead of it, like, shifted the focus from rehabilitation into, like, punitive action.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like, there was just, like, a mandatory, you had to serve this much time if you got caught with whatever, or.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer. That started, the war on drugs really thickened in 1986. This was a big push for the wrong side, in my opinion.
Well, we can get into the legalizing drugs talk. But I would say it's good and bad because it promotes a lot of different activity, because it's just like anything else. You tell somebody that they can't do something. You tell a teenager they can't do something, what's the first thing they're going to do?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, you can't sell these drugs and make money. And all these, impressionable kids in the streets are like, yeah, but I just saw this guy drive by in a Cadillac.
Yeah.
And my mom can't afford to keep the lights on, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big, drugs were going crazy at this point, I feel like. Crack cocaine and everything was really huge at this, I think at 84 is really where it kind of exploded. So in 86, it was like kind of going rampant, so that's why they had to tamp down on. So specifically, it was crack,
Yeah.
On a lighter note, on a fun thing, this is one that I was pretty intrigued by this year, is the Hands Across America.
I saw that.
That occurred in 86.
And they said that in the rural areas where people didn't want to venture out to, they connected it with like ropes and ribbons.
Yeah, just random bullshit.
I was like, I'm surprised that there wasn't like people like.
Yeah, there were enough people that if they had situated everyone
physically, there was
they
enough
could have done
people.
it. But there's like footage of them in New York and stuff where it's just like a big crowd of people and they're holding hands, but they're just zigzagging back and forth like waiting to get onto a haunted mansion.
But I guess they didn't raise as much money as they wanted to.
They didn't. No, not as much money as it cost. It was
15 million is what they raised.
They raised 15 and it cost 16 million to put it together.
Jeez.
So lost $1 million on this. It lasted 15 minutes and it was on Memorial Day, May 25th.
Another holiday. The first Martin Luther King Jr. Day was celebrated on April 4th. They celebrated by going to church services and doing peaceful protests and marches around the country.
That's cool.
Which would be a cool way to still honor him, but people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. That's cool, though. I didn't see that started this year.
Clint Eastwood became a mayor of Carmel, California.
Oh, Carmel by the Sea.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's where he lived, and I don't know.
He was mayor there for a long time, I feel like, wasn't he?
I don't know. I didn't see how long. I just know that's when he got elected.
That's
but,
funny.
I mean, I wonder what was going on in that little city for him to be like,
I've got to do something. The corruption in this town.
He became Batman.
That's such an interesting thing, though. That there's not a whole lot of of instances of that, like where a celebrity becomes a mayor. You know. Well, I guess in 1999 we talked about Jesse Ventura became the governor.
Oh yeah, that was just the last episode we did.
But I think that governor, like, that's a big position in the state and stuff. So it's like for you to just be the mayor, it's just in that one town. You're just like, you know.
But you're like a shoe-in.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just,
Eastwood,
I think about being one of the people who live in that town, how weird that would be to just be like, oh, these kids keep on knocking over my mailbox. I'm about to talk to Clint Eastwood. You know?
Yeah. And it's like, what qualifies him to do that?
He's a director.
I mean, yeah, he's in charge of like, I'm sure he owns his own business, his own corporation. You know what I mean?
Just, like being against one of his policies that he was trying to do, like he's going to put a stop sign in Main Street, and like everyone's like, you can't put a stop sign there. The traffic's going to be so bad. And he just like, you know, shoots him down with a glare. And, yeah, come. Whoever has an issue, stand up. And everyone's like, fuck, I'm not going to say anything. Honey, say something to Clint Eastwood. I'm not going to say anything to Clint Eastwood.
He just comes in with that cigar and the poncho.
Yeah, every meeting.
Every meeting.
Speaking of celebrities, the Chevrolet Celebrity was the best-selling car. This was an interesting thing because like it's such an '80s-looking car. It's like a sedan, very boxy. You've seen it because it also shares the same front-wheel drive GM platform. So it's like, you know, GM makes this car, but they make the same thing with all the other brands that they own, you know? So it's the Chevrolet Celebrity was the same as the Buick Century, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, and the Pontiac 6000. And
Timeless Tony, will you look up that car for me, please?
Yeah, you got to get a look at this thing because it is so quintessential. And it's funny that this was the best-selling car of the year. It's like, whoa, what a... Again, just a... You know, 86. It's the 1986 Chevrolet Celebrity.
Oh, and if you guys don't know, Timeless Tony is our reach back in time.
Yes, he's the you know, the connection that we keep to yesteryear, and that's how we get all of our information. Because otherwise, this stuff would be inaccessible to someone in today's age. You would never know what was going on back then. But that's how we do it.
Unless you owned a lot of his encyclopedias.
This was featured. This car was featured in the cover issue of Fortune magazine as an example of like genericized uniformity. So basically, you know, just saying like they're just churning these things out to make money, and they, you know, kind of gave him shit about it in this thing. So then GM was like had to publicly be like, we're gonna change everything, give each brand its own identity from now on. So this is like an end of that very cookie cutter thing, you know. Did you get that? Do you have a picture of it?
I do. I have it right here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just super.
The most basic 1980s car. Kind of like when I said when we first started this, there's the worst for cars.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened from the late 1970s to the mid 1980s.
Yeah, it was
like art, but like art itself had changed.
I think that it's sort of you know, everything was, again, it was very modern. It's like stuff wasn't supposed to be, you know, futuristic or harkening back to anything. It was just like, in the 80s, everything is very, like, industrial. And this is a very strong car with strong lines and, like, and utilitarian. And it's like, you know, it's meant for moving your family around because everyone has families. I don't know. It's just a very sign of the way that things were at the time. Like, you know.
Fuel injected, front wheel drive, advanced technology, celebrity, shaped for the way you drive today.
Well, there you go. That's why it was shaped the way it was shaped. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing, though, that was like the height of that, like just mass production, and like, you know, GM kind of was like, we got to stop doing that, you know?
There's a theory. It's all about the drugs everybody was on. Everybody went from doing like LSD and like really like feeling the art to doing like cocaine and crack cocaine to being like, we just gotta shell these cars out.
Yeah. That makes sense. Got any other pop culture bits?
Pixar Corporation was launched.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What at the time, 86, I don't know when their first like shorts were, or animations. I know that, I think the first thing they did was I don't know if they first did the jumping light just in general, not like the jumping onto the Pixar logo, but it was like a light with a ball. And then I know the Tin Soldier was like their first short that they did, but I don't know when it came out. So I wonder how long that took them to make.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, Toy Story came out in what, 91, 90?
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for them to get like.
Maybe even after
Anybody
that,
that-
93.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it took a while for them to get
Toy Story came out in 95.
95. But yeah, it took a while, for them to proof of concept or whatever for somebody to be able to go, yeah, we can do a whole movie like that.
Well, they did a lot with that. So, yeah, the CGI for Toy Story was crazy at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks pretty decent when you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fox launched as the fourth commercial broadcasting network in the U.S., and the first show was the late night show with Joan Rivers.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy. Wow, I didn't realize it was that new of a network either, I guess.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I knew it wasn't as old as,
Yeah.
NBC and ABC and...
Yeah. I guess it's funny, too. You don't think about watching, like, an old movie and, it's like, yeah, you don't see Fox in it, you know what I mean? But 80s, huh? And that's really recent.
86, yeah, near the end, too.
See, I got some sports-related stories here.
I got one.
Well, to start off the year, basically, earliest thing that happened was the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Chicago Bears. 46-10 beat the Patriots. This was on the back of a 15-1 season, so they only lost one game, being coached by Mike Ditka.
I'm sure people made a lot of money on that spread.
And, yeah, that's a 36-point win. This was the same season they did the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
The song and dance that they did. That's very funny. So if you don't know it, go watch that. And that, propelled them to fucking sealing it and just destroyed that season and then just destroyed the Super Bowl. It's like, it's pretty cool if you're a Bears fan. That season must have sucked for anyone else to be watching.
It's also like a mental thing, too, though. Like, not only have you only lost one game, but it's like being the Patriots, you have to watch, or like these guys are practicing their dance choreography and they've only lost one game this season. Like, what? Like, that has to be a mental kind of thing too.
Yeah, that's crazy. The next big sports story of the year comes at Game 6 of the World Series between the Red Sox and the Mets. Famous Bill Buckner takes a freaking just right between the legs, hit the ball, he just misses it. Just doesn't catch it.
I bet you he got accused of throwing it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. I mean, he was
I didn't
hated
look into
for,
that.
for years and years and years in Boston. And it wasn't until they won in 2004 that he finally they forgave him basically because this was part of the curse. This was part of the whole the Boston curse that had been going on for 100 years. So yeah, that was. I mean, it's nuts when you watch it too. It just whoop, he just whiffs it. He just totally misses it. It's like, damn, that must have sucked to be him.
I think it was the Cubs that had like a 107-year streak without a win. Yeah, it was a long time. Sports one. Mike Tyson won his first world boxing title against Trevor Burbeck in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's cool.
He's the youngest heavyweight champion at 20 years old.
Damn, 20 years old.
Dude.
That's so nuts. That's a fucking boy still go out just beating up grown men.
Dude, we all know that he had like this crazy, fierce mentality.
Yeah.
But there's no way you could have done it if you didn't have that.
Yeah, that's...
if you didn't have like the arrogance, like you need to be.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't even imagine that happening still to this day. I mean, kids are crazy now, but it's just like, to come out 20 years old, that's so young. That's so insane. There was a couple of games here that came out that I thought was cool. Super Mario Bros. 2, and then Bubble Bobble, Castlevania, Dragon Quest, Legend of Zelda, Metroid. Some cool games to come out that year. The top-rated TV shows. Number 1 was The Cosby Show. We don't like that guy. Number 2 was Family Ties, which I had never seen any of. I watched an episode of today. Have you ever watched it?
Well,
It was pretty funny, actually, with Alex P. Keaton, played by Michael J. Fox.
oh no, I'm thinking of a different show.
It was actually pretty funny. I laughed a couple times. It's like he's like a super conservative kid, and he's like, he lives with his parents who are kind of more like hippie. They're not like hippies, but they're more laid back and liberal kind of people. It wasn't like a super like strong premise throughout the show. It was mostly just a family, but It was actually pretty funny. I did enjoy it. I could see why the audience of 1986 were crowding around their television to watch Family Ties. Number 3 was Cheers. Number 4 was Murder, She Wrote. And number 5 was The Golden Girls.
I still like the Golden Girls.
Those are all pretty classic shows. They all kind of like held up. A lot of times you see a year and you're like, man, I've never fucking heard of that show, you know?
Yeah, I've never watched Murder, She Wrote.
My mom used to love it when I was a kid. It's funny. It's one of those shows everyone says it about it, but it's like she lives in this little town and there's just like a murder every week, and you're like, people need to move the fuck out of this town. You know? Something's going on here. Is she drawing the murderers in? Maybe they all just want to get their case solved by her because they know she's a legend. But yeah, some good shows. A couple debuts that came out. Alf, the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool.
And yeah.
And Pee-wee's Playhouse also debuted this year. I used to love Pee-wee's Playhouse when I was a kid.
I watched it. I wouldn't say I loved it.
And then, you know, the movies are funny too. But those are debut TV shows. Here's some debut albums. Let's get into the music of the day. A couple bands that came out. Two Live Crew. Or Two Live Crew. I don't know. It's Two Live Crew, I'm sure.
I'm thinking Two Live. I don't think I've ever heard Two Live Crew.
Salt and Pepper. Crowded House. Cinderella, their album went to number 3, sort of that, you know, hair metal from the 80s. I actually liked that Nobody's Fool was a good song. So that was cool. You know, you can kind of see that, because when we look at the top 5, it's sort of like you mentioned earlier, it sort of is a bummer year of music. But these, you can see the shift happening, some of this hip hop coming up, and I guess the hair metal thing is, you know, it was sort of popular, so you could see some stuff bubbling around underneath. But yeah, the top 5 is not a super fun bunch of songs, in my opinion. Shall we get into those?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to start us off with number 5?
Yeah, so Broken Wings by Mr. Mister. I totally forgot about this band until I read the name.
I honestly, it's a band that, I mean, I've heard this song before, and I've heard the name Mr. Mister, but it's not like anyone's ever put this on and been like, here comes Mr. Mister with Broken Wings. So, like, I assumed, and it's probably because they have a very similarly named band. I thought they were like a hair metal band, like Twisted Sister. Mr. Mister, Twisted Sister. Like, it just seemed like it was like a, you know, I was not expecting this when I saw the name. There's another one that's on this list that also has a weird name like that. But yeah, it's a good song. I mean, it might be my favorite one on the top 5.
I think it is my favorite one on the top 5. I think it's maybe just because it's more upbeat than all the other ones. But I guess Richard Page is one of the writers and musicians in this band. I guess this is like a collaboration group. Toto and then one other group I can't think of right now came to him and asked him if he would join their band, like two bigger bands, and he basically was like, no, I'm gonna back Mr. Mister.
Interesting.
And then this song came out like not even a year later.
That's cool. This is a big hit for him. That's cool.
But then I feel like that was kind of it for that band. I think there was a one hit wonder. They have a couple more songs that did kind of good, but.
Well, this became the first of 2 consecutive number 1s of the band on the American charts, the other chart topper being Kyrie. So they had 2 in a row. But other than that, I don't know if they did anything. It was based or inspired by Khalil Gibran's novel Broken Wings. That was sort of interesting to, you know, if you see someone has a song inspired by a novel, you know.
Yeah.
Number 4 here, On My Own by Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald. This is, you know, when I talk about that just cheesiness of this decade. It's like, man, this is number 4. People were driving around being like, can you play Michael McDonald, Patti LaBelle's On My Own? You know, On My Own. God.
Yeah.
It was written by Burt Bacharach for Dionne Warwick and Friends, which is we'll hear about maybe a little later. Michael and Patti recorded in separate cities. It was the most successful song ever for both singers. Originally, it was not a duet, and then when asked who she would do it with, Michael McDonald was her first choice, which is interesting. She's like, you know what, this song isn't a duet, but how can we fucking ruin it? Bring in Michael McDonald. That's just like, what a weird choice. Like, so, it's supposed to be soulful and in love, and you're just...
I don't know. I feel like this time, like I said a couple minutes ago, this time for art is so weird.
Yeah. Well, I
Like-
mean, I guess he was, he was a Doobie Brother. So it's like he was a rock star, so he's sexy, I guess. But it's like he's got the weirdest fucking voice ever.
Yeah.
Just does not. He's such a weird looking guy. He looks like a Muppet, like with his mustache being the only black part of his hair. Everything else is just, he looks like a sheepdog with all the rest of it's like salt and pepper.
What's one of the old Muppets with the big nose, the blue one?
Sam the Eagle, or you mean
Yeah.
Statler and Waldorf?
No, Sam the Eagle. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, just a very weird song. Number 3 on the list, I Miss You by Climax. This was so funny. I expected this to be like a hair metal song when I saw the name. Climax, spelled Klymaxx. It's like, that's
And
the
I
most
just want to
strange
say, I think they really missed the opportunity to add that other X on there.
song. Yeah, right? There's like no information about this. It was written by the keyboardist Lynn Malsby, the 3rd single on the 4th album, Meeting in the Ladies' Room. It's like, they just got a random hit.
I think this was another one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I mean, but late in their career too. It's cool. 4th album.
But they were nominated one of the top 5 girl groups of the year.
That's cool.
or something like that.
Super simple and catchy melody to it. That it's just I miss you. It's like
Yeah.
this, almost like annoying that they you got away with that being something you wrote. Like you just 3 keys one after the other on a keyboard, and then that's a huge
Yeah,
hit
but
song.
that's a lot of music.
Yeah, good for them.
A lot of
just
popular music hits. Did you see the music video?
I did not.
I don't know why I watched that music video.
What was
but
it?
It was like them. It starts off and it's like on a street, and then it pans into like a girl playing the bass guitar, which is the weirdest. I think they could have picked any other instrument because they had them all. But she was playing the bass guitar, and they zoomed in, and then it's just like, instead of her being like in an apartment by herself because she's alone, she's with like an entire band and like a bunch of there's like little kids on the stage like clapping and a bunch of other people. It's like, you're not really alone. So who are you?
Got a little bit of the video up here. She's like, definitely not alone at all here. Well, she dismisses that one person. Number 2 on the list here.
Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. I mean, he got won an Oscar for this song.
And a Golden Globe.
Yeah, for the most original song. And he wrote it for the dramatic musical White Nights.
Yeah, Mikhail Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines, so it's like a dance movie. Mm-hmm. And it was primarily recorded in his living room. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah, original bedroom music, or whatever the hell it's called.
What they call it nowadays.
This was the funniest thing was, these four songs in a row, just barely different from one another in terms of sound for the most part, but also all of them are the same content. It's just like, hey, I miss you. Mm-hmm. I'm on my own. I don't want to be on my own.
Yeah.
I miss the way we were together. Say you, say me, say we'll be together always. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Every song is just like, man, I'm fucking sad about being alone.
Yeah, like I'm saying, man, I don't know what it was.
Broken Wings was the only one a little bit that was like, okay, I'm alone, but I'm not sad about it. I'm gonna learn to fly, But yeah, that is and they all shared a very similar sort of, like, there's really no heavy hooks or melody lines to it or anything that really separates any of these songs. They're all very inoffensive and just straightforward and just, on my own, I miss you. Very simple melodies,
Yeah.
and all just about the same sad shit. Except for number 1, this is the one that does not have to do with that. Mm-hmm. That's what friends are for. Because when you're sad and alone and you just got broken up with, how do you fix it? You get your friends. That's what friends are for. Dionne Warwick and friends, and those friends are Gladys Knight, Elton John, and Stevie Wonder. 3 extremely famous people.
Yeah. Also written by Burt Bacharach.
Yes. This was interesting, though. Yeah, it was first recorded by Rod Stewart in 1982 for Night Shift. Oh, that's a funny cover song to have. This won a Grammy. It's for Best Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals.
But I guess there was a falling out
Oh, between Bert and Dion, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what happened was Bacharach and Seeger were in wrote a musical together. I'm sorry, Bacharach and Hall David wrote a musical together, and they had a falling out, and they were all in the same production company, and because they had a falling out, that means that Warwick had to leave too. So she sued them, both of them,
Oh, wow.
for like breaking the contract, and that's what separated her and Bacharach.
Okay, that's interesting. And this was a song that was like a charity single for AIDS research and prevention. So I don't know if that's what got them.
A lot of that going around in this era.
So it's a charity thing that probably kind of helped them decide. And she said that she realized, we're all family and we all gotta, stick together and everything like that. Elton John played the piano on the song, and Stevie Wonder played the harmonica. It was the final number one for all of these folks, except for Elton John. He had 2 more in the 90s, but the rest of these people, this was their last number one song. I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's the last number one for anyone who topped the charts before the British invasion. That's still a thing. So Stevie Wonder had a hit song before the British invasion happened in 1964 or 5. And so he's the last person this is the last song for someone who did that to then come back and get another chart topper.
Fucking English people. I'm just kidding.
It's an interesting thing too for this to be the number. I mean, that's the AIDS Foundation stuff, so that kind of makes sense. Everyone's coming together, hands across America, unifying this country and stuff. So that makes sense for it to be number one in that regard. But it is funny for it to be a lot of like kind of classic throwback artists to be the number one song on this, sort of boring song again. People are just boring, man. Boring.
Yeah. I can't help but to like think back to like what the influence was on what people are listening to, especially on the day-to-day to your commute in the car, what radio stations were playing. There was thousands of people a day calling in and requesting songs, but at the same time, like what was pushed by record companies so that the radio stations would play X amount of the song this time. So it's like I feel like basically what I'm saying is that like these numbers are inflated by like the
Probably
Billboard,
what people were listening to,
which is kind of cool now because now we can get like a better idea.
Yeah, when you go look directly and see how many plays something has.
Now that everyone's stealing music, you can see.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a good point because this stuff feels so corporate and like I said, everything is just so like big businessy at the time.
And then like going through, I had trouble actually like even pinpointing what the top 5 songs were this week when I was doing my research, and and I also feel like it's because so much of what's going on is influenced also by movies and by like the other collaborations of different arts in that time. Like I said, like movies. Like the next year, one of the biggest songs was the Top Gun song.
Definitely. Yeah, this is. I mean, you see that a lot throughout the '80s, where you'll just see like the Ghostbusters song was like number 2 on the charts. You're like, man, everyone was listening to Ghostbusters. But I mean, there were a couple of albums that came out. I mentioned the debut ones, but also like License to Ill and Master of Puppets came out this year. Metallica and Beastie Boys.
Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone.
Yeah, Danger Zone. That's this year, Higher Love, Sledgehammer. Those are like more exciting songs that are like in that '80s.
Yeah,
sound.
I think when I looked it up, Sledgehammer was number 2.
I think that was for the specific month.
Yeah, that was another problem I had, was that they were breaking down weeks.
Yeah, I saw that a lot too. I don't know why you don't see that a lot in other years, but for some reason this year was something that I saw that on. So, but yeah, Sledgehammer, Higher Love. Like I said, License to Ill by the Beastie Boys is a good album. Came out this year. It's not my favorite Beastie Boys album, but it's a good one. Master of Puppets by Metallica. So it's like there was still cool music coming out, and people liked it, but it was never top in the charts, I guess.
Yeah, but like I said, what was being played versus like what was being listened to.
Yeah.
That would be a cool little side piece to do, though.
Yeah.
Like, what is a top #1 record sales that like people listen to? That
Yeah, I
people
thought
went
about that.
went out of their way.
I thought, maybe next time I come back.
Yeah.
But I think, the top 5 tells you, like, this is what you were hearing when you're driving around, because I think that still to this, like right now,
Yeah.
if you tell me the top 5 Billboard songs, it gives me a better idea than what people are listening to at home. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it is like you go to the store, you hear it. But that's all sidebar shit. All right. And coming off of the world of music and looking over at the big other realm of entertainment, the movies, most popular movie we're going to get into in a second. I did also though want to bring up, I looked up the Razzies for this year.
Oh yeah.
Number 1 worst picture was a tie between Under the Cherry Moon, which is like a Prince movie. Was sort of a follow-up to...
Was he in it, or did he like direct it?
I think that he directed it, possibly, but he was in it. And it was sort of a follow-up to Purple Rain. But the other tie movie is Howard the Duck.
Oh
Infamous movie.
Yeah.
Early Marvel movie. If you're not familiar, he's a Marvel Comics character. I had seen it before. I watched it like a couple years ago, and I mean I really love weird, campy, kitschy shit and like movies from the 80s and 70s that are really cheesy and weird and stuff. And so I really enjoy parts of this movie. But even though I love stuff like this, it's not great because it's like 2 hours long. There's no reason for there to be a duck movie that's 2 hours long, because so much of it relies heavily on duck puns and weird duck boobs and stuff.
Well, I gotta say, I don't feel like movies really lasted 2 hours during this time frame either.
Yeah, it was a
You
long
know?
movie for what it was and for when it was, and there was no reason for it to be that long. This would be like a movie that I really enjoy and rewatch if it wasn't for that. I started rewatching it the other day, and I was like, this isn't that bad. Why don't I like this movie more? And then I checked, and it was halfway through, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna finish this tonight.
Didn't the person who played the duck, wasn't that like a popular actor?
I don't think so.
Timeless Tony.
Who played Howard the Duck? Like in the costume or the voice?
I want to say the costume.
Well, it's
Maybe-
like a little person, I think.
Oh, maybe.
Unless it was Warwick Davis, but I don't think it was him. It could have been, though. It was produced by George Lucas, I believe.
What? I didn't know that.
Ed Gale.
Not familiar. Ed Gale, you came out and you gave it your all as Howard the Duck. And there wasn't anything wrong with the physical performance of Howard. I think this was more of the writing that I have to say was the issue. And Jordan Prentice, I think, is the name of the voice actor, or the guy who did the voice of him. And I feel like he did a couple things, but he wasn't famous. But those are the worst movies of the year. What was the top movie? Well, actually, did you see what number 2 was? I thought that was pretty funny. A couple of the top movies are pretty funny this year. Because number 1 is Top Gun. Huge movie. Makes sense, of course. Number 2, though, was Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, yeah.
And number 6, which I watched both Crocodile Dundee, which I hadn't seen before, and the number 6 movie, I believe, was Back to School featuring Rodney Dangerfield. It was like, what a silly top 10.
Yeah.
This was such a silly year for pop culture.
You know what I did watch on accident that came out this year was Aliens.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I haven't seen it since, I don't know, I was young.
I prefer the first one. The second one's a little more action movie-ish. I like the horror aspect of the first one a little more. I haven't seen Romulus, the new one. I want to watch that.
I watched Prometheus, and that was good too. And then there's one after that, right?
Yeah, I just recently watched the one with Danny McBride in it.
Oh yeah, I did see that one where they go to
it's
the
like 2017
planet.
or something like that. Another, it's like that movie, that franchise became like an action franchise pretty quickly. Same thing with like Terminator. The first one's pretty horror movie-ish, and then they very quickly, James Cameron got his hands on both of those franchises and turned them to action movies. Which, a lot of people do like the sequels more, but I prefer the first one's more scary tones. So the number 1 movie of the year is Top Gun, directed by Tony Scott, starring Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, and Kelly McGillis. $15 million budget, netted just over $8 million on its opening weekend, and made $357 million worldwide. Is this a movie you've seen a lot, or what's your relationship?
I watched it probably 5 times in my life.
Okay.
I watched it when I was really young, and then I've watched it like every 5 to 10 years in my life, but one of my good friend's mom, whenever we would go down to Oceanside, we would pass by
The
the house,
Yeah.
and she'd be like, "There it is. There's a Top Gun house."
That's so funny because I was just in Oceanside the other day, and they moved the house recently. I don't know if you knew that. They moved it to right in front of the pier, and I was like, "Oh, hey, the Top Gun house," and like there's a plaque there, and it's like, "Why the fuck have I never noticed that here?" And then so I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, it was that old decrepit house on top of the hill," and I passed by a million times in my life, and I never knew it was that. But I had never seen Top Gun until this year. This is something I didn't grow up watching it, you know. It's very spectacle based, and it's an '80s movie, so it's sort of like I've seen footage of jets flying around. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like mostly a lot of the draw of the movie is that, you know.
I wanted to know was like Tom Cruise like, I need to fly one of these jets.
He was just
I need to do my own stunts.
yeah, that's what set him off. He just like was watching the whole because didn't they get up in the jets and everything? And like I think all but one of the people who went, all the actors who went up.
Anthony Edwards.
He's the only one
guy
who
who
didn't
played
throw up or
Goose.
didn't pass out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the one who didn't. Yeah, he didn't throw up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Tom Cruise was just seething the whole time. He's like, I bet if you take me up again, I won't throw up. I mean, I can fly these things.
Just show me how to do it. I can do it. They only shot like 2 missiles because that's all they would let him shoot. So they just took those 2 missile shots from like 8 different angles and
just reused them?
it, a bunch of times.
Some Star Wars style editing.
Got to do what you got to do.
I mean, it was expensive to be working with the Navy for this.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Well, Val Kilmer didn't want to do it, and then
He had a contract that forced him, right?
no, I think. Well, from what I read, he was. They said come out on set, like look at the set, see the jets, like see what we have to present, and then tell me if you want to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I did read that also. And then I read a fact later that said that he didn't want to do the movie because he didn't like the script and stuff, but he was contractually obligated to be doing it. So maybe he just was like already bummed out that he was doing it, and so then they took him that to like impress him, and then he was excited about it.
Yeah. But I guess they also changed some stuff in it too.
Yeah, the whole script
because he
changed.
didn't like. Yeah, because I don't know what changes. That would be cool though, is to like get your
The
hands
original
on the
one?
original script. See how bad it was.
John Travolta, getting from Timeless Tony here. John Travolta was the first choice to play Maverick. It'd be an interesting film.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to fly here. This was based on an article in California Magazine titled Top Guns. That was just about Miramar base and the dudes flying and stuff there. I thought that was interesting to like just read an article and be like, I'm gonna write a whole ass movie about that.
That is well. It is interesting just because it was like a relatively new program. I guess it didn't get really implemented until like '69,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, the program wasn't even 20 years old. I'm sure people didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's a good. Like I said before, I grew up. You know, I saw. You see videos of planes flying. Air shows were a big thing. Also, we live in California, so you know the San Diego bases and stuff. I mean, I had friends whose dads were in the Navy and stuff like that, so I'd been to bases and things. So
Yeah, I guess for like we live in Southern California. If you couldn't
Yeah, in
figure
the
it out,
90s.
yeah.
It wasn't
so,
so.
it wasn't. Yeah, I would literally see parachuters from my backyard.
yeah, so I mean, if you're from a different part of the country that doesn't, you know, have any sort of exposure to this stuff, and back then nobody really was familiar with all these fighter jets and stuff, so I could see why it'd be exciting and riveting. It's a little less so for me in today's age, you know.
I got a fun little fact about it though. The old man that the girl, I can't think of her name.
Charlie?
Yeah, the one that she was with at the bar
Yes.
was an actual fighter pilot who fought a MiG in Vietnam and shot it down, and he's one of the only people to ever actually do that.
That's cool.
And
So he was, like, consulting for the movie?
he was a consultant for the movie. And
That's
stuff.
pretty neat. You know, just the old man reminded me of I don't know why, but Tony Scott. I didn't know this. You know, he's a big director. He's done a lot of movies. You know, he did Beverly Hills Cop 2 and like Deja Vu, that movie with Denzel Washington, or is that the one with Denzel Washington, right? But you know, he's a big action movie director. He's Ridley Scott's brother. I didn't know that. Speaking of aliens, we were just talking about the Alien movies. Yeah, Deja Vu is the one with Denzel Washington. But yeah, he did a bunch of like action movies and stuff. But I didn't realize he was his brother. I thought that was kind of cool.
I guess there's a bunch of people who are like related
Siblings
in Hollywood.
and- yeah. I
Like
feel like you see a
siblings or
lot more
cousins
with-
or like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you see a lot with actors, but like directors, a lot of times they'll be like sibling pairs, like the Wachowskis or the Coen brothers and stuff like that. But it's Francis Ford Coppola and then Sophia is his daughter. But like to see two brothers who are both directors in kind of a similar vein is sort of interesting.
But they don't work together.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, and also Ridley Scott's movies I think are a little bit of a tier above Tony Scott's movies. So it's a funny thing to both, him come home and be like, hey, my movie, I got the top movie of the year. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm critically acclaimed. You mentioned earlier songs from this movie. Highway to the Danger Zone was a big one. But Take My Breath Away by Berlin won the Academy Award and Golden Globe. Much
Oh,
like
wow.
The Lionel Richie song earlier we were talking about. This one won both for Best Original Song. I thought it was cool. Berlin is a band that I know a couple other songs from, and I didn't know this was them, so I thought that was kind of cool that they had like this huge mega hit for, which is interesting. I poked around their discography and just didn't see "Take My Breath Away," this giant, hit song.
Yeah, weird. And weird it wasn't like the first one on like Spotify or whatever you looked it up on,
Yeah, I probably just went directly to the album that I was looking for or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The John Travolta being, the original choice reminds me of, this was super weird to me. David Cronenberg and John Carpenter were both originally approached to direct this movie, and they both turned it down, which is just like, what would make you think that these guys who are like horror directors would be the choice for this action movie,
I don't know.
Really weird.
Yeah.
to me.
I mean, maybe they were just trying to like go out on a limb, like when you get a comedian to play a serious role.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of the directors from the same sort of camp of guys, a few years later, did go on to do like big stuff. Like I think Peter Jackson. A lot of his early movies were horror movies, and then obviously he did Lord of the Rings or like.
I didn't know that there was.
Yeah, you got to watch his old stuff. I love Bad Taste is one of my favorites of his. It's very funny. It's that sort of campy, really gory horror movie. And then
When did he start making movies?
Early '80s.
Okay.
And then the same Sam Raimi, he did the Evil Dead franchise. He came back and did Spider-Man. George Miller did like the Mad Max movies, and then he did Happy Feet and Babe, the big movie. So it's like they did change people from like a weird thing and kind of get them to do something else. But I just feel like these were why two? Why did you pick two?
Yeah.
Go to one.
I don't. But I just feel like when you push somebody, like especially somebody who is talented, outside of their comfort zone, they also feel like an obligation
To perform.
to do good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like if like you promote somebody before like they think they're ready for it, and then
Yeah,
they're
they
like,
have to
I'm
rise
gonna
to the occasion.
like I can't like I don't know why they gave me this promotion, but I gotta just nail this job.
Yeah.
Like I gotta come to work every day.
For sure.
Maybe it's the same kind of push.
Interestingly, too, though, I was just thinking about John Carpenter specifically. David Cronenberg, I didn't ever think would get a shot to do mainstream stuff because his stuff's really weird and gross. But John Carpenter is somebody I was just thinking the other day. Like he was making movies at the same time as all those other guys I just mentioned, but he never really did like mainstream movies. Like he's always kind of done his own thing, which I think is kind of cool. And I've always thought, oh, he must have just never wanted to do anything bigger.
Can you pull up John Carpenter's maybe like IMDb or like his movies?
Oh yeah, he
'Cause I
did.
don't really-
He did The Thing and
Oh, okay.
Escape from New
LA.
York and Escape from L.A. and Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay.
He's one of my favorites. The Fog is a good one. I feel like they parodied that on South Park once back in the day.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Obviously, I can't believe I didn't say that. Oh yeah, I'm wearing a shirt.
The Halloween shirt. Village of the Damned.
So anyway, yeah, he's one of
That
those
sounds
guys
cool.
that I think like, well, maybe this was his chance to get out of the horror game, and he either didn't want to or just missed it. I wonder if he was kicking himself afterwards, like maybe I should have done Top Gun. But Alas, the movie itself is, like I said, it's it's enjoyable or whatever, but it's not for me ultimately. Got any other thoughts on this bad boy?
No. I mean, I like the movie. Maybe just because I know it and it's nostalgic for me, but it's like I don't go out of my way to watch it very often. I think the only reason I watched it recently was because of the new one that came out.
Yeah,
I don't think
I watched the new one. I liked it about the same as this one. Same, it's enjoyable or whatever, but it's always hard to watch a movie that's so tied to a specific time. And this, like we mentioned, this was such a specific year. So if you didn't kind of grow up watching this or whatever, it might not resonate the same. So it didn't really for me, but. I think let's see, we didn't do this last time, but out of 1,986 stars, what would you give it? I'd probably slam this boy with maybe a 1986. I'd probably give it like a 1,500.
I was thinking like 1,200.
Oh, I don't know, that's pretty low. That's so the top possible if you don't understand what we're talking about. 1,986, 1986, that's the year. That's the ultimate. That's the top number of stars. So that's like a 10. So then we just have to kind of guess what our ratings are off of that. But we're not going to do math. We could do
you do the
calculators,
math.
but we don't know what this actually is. We're just kind of spitballing. But
I'm sure you guys will do the math.
yeah, they're going to be like,
Put it in the comments.
I'm sure mine's probably higher than I mean it to be. But all right, well, this movie isn't going to make my pick for my favorite thing of 1986. Well, let's get into that, huh?
Okay. You go first.
I have a couple things here that were on the list that I kind of, mulled over. Music-wise, there wasn't a ton of stuff looking through because I looked through like all the album releases. There weren't a bunch that were like, oh, this one, Maybe Different Light by the Bangles is an album that I like and I rock a good amount. It's got Manic Monday on it. And Walk Like an Egyptian. I don't love that one, but Manic Monday is a great song. The movies of this year, there were a couple that really, I love. That, again, that cheesy 80s sort of practical effects and all that. Little Shop of Horrors is a great movie. The Fly, that's Cronenberg, didn't do Top Gun, he did The Fly. Mm-hmm. Big Trouble in Little China, mentioned it, John Carpenter's movie that he had this year. That's one of my favorite movies ever, and that was very close to being my favorite thing of the year, and it's almost still is teetering. But my number one thing for this year is David Bowie and Jim Henson's The Labyrinth. Came out in 1986, and that was a movie I watched so much as a kid. I fucking love that movie. I still
love that movie.
I just watched, I watched a documentary about like the making of it. That was like 50 minutes long. It was on Tubi. I just watched that the other night. I'm in the middle of watching a movie every night. I was like, I can take a break to watch some documentary about the Labyrinth. One of my favorite movies.
I still quote that movie. They go, "Hello, did you say hello to me?" No, I said hello, but close enough.
There's so many things that just pop in. We talked about last time. Just like your brain automatically says something when something happens, and all the time, like don't go that way. If he kept going that way, he'd gone straight to that castle. Great movie. All right, what's your choice?
I love that movie. To be honest, I think it was really cool that they actually started to celebrate Martin Luther King.
That is a cool thing.
I thought that was like, because it was so long after.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he died in like 1968.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember exactly.
Like nearly 20 years after they decided to do that, and it was like near his birthday. April 4th, 1968.
Yeah, good. Man, that's there's so many times when you look at something in the past and you go like, oh, that's way more recent than I would have thought.
Yeah. Well, I just remember growing up and like, I guess I just had this one teacher that really like nailed it into us. She played one of his speeches, recordings, the one where it's like I have a dream.
Yeah.
And then she like that whole day like was like pretty much like explaining it, and it resonated with me, and I just think that it's so cool for like what he's done, what he really like preached. He was a preacher. Mm-hmm. I don't think people give him enough credit for that. Because I think he was just so well known for his activism for civil rights. But he was also the person that literally, like said, don't judge a man by his skin color, but by the contents of his character.
Yeah.
So it's just like holding, and as, I guess, because he was a religious man, it's just holding yourself to a higher standard. So I think that that's a cool message that everybody can reach out and.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think about if you actually were back then, because we have, MLK Day now. So, like, we did grow up. I don't know how much, civil rights stuff was taught that close to after it was, like, where people were, like, immediately like, hey, let's tell the kids how fucking shitty we were.
Yeah.
It was like, this
10
was
years ago.
me as a teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
And so was it, everybody... I have no way of actually knowing how prevalent he was in the average American household's like knowledge and conversation before that. And MLK Day made that something that people had to talk about or whatever, which is great. So I don't know what it was like before that. I'm not sure. I'm curious though.
in those years and between him being his death and the
because also it's not like
recognition that he
everybody
got.
was like right on board. Like the minute he died, everybody's like, okay, well now he's a hero. It's like half the states were like, fuck that guy. I'm not gonna tell the kids about him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting things. Man, I wish I was there. So
I wish I was then too.
That's not the best. I don't wish I was there to see that. This is one
Well-
year. I mean, looking at this one, the '80s. We talked about it a little bit off mic, but it's like you know what the '80s feel like in so many ways. This almost felt like we were watching like a movie that's set in the '80s or something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where everything feels fake and manufactured, and it was just like, man, you guys actually like dress and
People are watching
Listen to this.
the gummy bears.
But like, yeah, it's the top 5 were all just sitcoms, and everybody was driving that Chevrolet Celebrity and going to see Top Gun and Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Like, what a weird time in America,
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we were arguably at the best point. We're at the height.
Yeah,
Between
and, like,
the
economy
late,
and everything like that.
the late '80s and the early '90s, it's like arguably the best time like to have really lived ever in any place at any given point.
Tony just brought up a picture of Back to School, and I think that's because, like I said, I watched it for the first time, and the premise of this movie is that he's rich, and he just wants to go back to school. It's not that he needs to for like some reason. I mean, there's
Not
like some
'cause his
paper
dad
thin
makes
reason,
him.
but like it's not like he needs to keep his company. It said his son's going to school, and for some reason he goes with him. Maybe there's something he needs to be doing it for, but it's mostly just like, hey, I want to get back into school. I didn't get to do this when I was younger, and it's. And you're rooting for him. You're rooting for this stupid slob of a rich man. You're just like, I hope he wins, Also, I had never seen it, and I grew up, though, watching Extremely Goofy Movie. Same movie, just added the skateboarding stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's same exact story, basically. Almost entirely the same.
Because I grew up watching the Goofy movie and not.
Yeah, me too.
The movie I remember most of Rodney Dangerfield is Caddyshack. And that was his first movie.
Yeah, it's crazy he got started so late in his career. I never really watched a whole lot of Rodney Dangerfield. I did, at one point, was auditioning to do voices for like a 70s throwback radio station to do like the commercial interstitials and stuff.
That's so cool.
And for my audition, one of the voices they asked if we could do was Rodney. I don't even know if it was. They just wanted stars from the 80s and 70s, so I did a Rodney Dangerfield. So I wrote a joke in a Rodney Dangerfield style, and it was, I come home the other day. I got a hard life. I come home the other day. My wife, she's so stupid. This woman. I come home and she's got this third. The house is burning up. I come in and I say, why is the house so hot? And she said, well, I tried to turn on the radio and the speakers on the house. I said, we don't have a radio on the speakers in the house. I go over, she has a thermostat set to 107.9. I don't know if that was a good Dangerfield. It's been a while.
It's pretty good. What's crazy about him is I think that like his comedy style was unique at the time when he came out.
It was like
because there wasn't
sort of
like
throwbacky.
but there wasn't. Yeah, but there wasn't like the Mitch Hedbergs who were just like throwing out one-liners.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
that-
It's sort of like an old timey way of comedy, just telling jokes. Like it's something that sort of, I think, maybe that's why Seinfeld is sort of so like influential and stuff. Sort of the observational style of humor, and that in the '80s there was a lot of that sort of. Tim Allen was really popular and things like that. Very like telling stories about your life. So it was really refreshing to just have a guy come in and tell jokes.
Yeah.
And they were more a little edgy, it wasn't just like knock knock jokes or whatever. It was like
Yeah.
adult humor that was just straight up jokes, and you still don't get that much of that today.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, I don't know. It was just so influential at the time for comics, like Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, and like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other comedians at that time.
I think I almost feel like I was gonna say George Carlin. His style was more. He had jokes, but I feel like he definitely shifted away from that as time went on. Like in the '80s, at that point, he was just ranting about shit.
I think that's kind of Bill Burr's style, though.
Yeah. But in the early days of Carlin, he was very joke based and stuff like that.
Yeah, his were more like joke crafted because they were like a setup, a punchline. It wasn't just like, because he would just like go on rants and it'd be hilarious, and that's not the same. I feel like as
No, but like in the
telling
early
jokes.
ones, like when you watch him in his college, when he'd go to colleges and stuff, he'd do like, "I'm the hippy dippy weatherman" and stuff like that. He had like, full on characters.
I guess all I'm thinking is like the blueberry one and like about all the cuss words.
Those are sort of like more contemporary. I think he was a big influence on contemporary comedy, and that sort of like
Yeah,
telling a joke, but it's not like you said, it's not like a specific like here's the setup and you're gonna see what the end of it is, but just being like, where are all the blue foods?
yeah.
That's well. The '80s. We're closing the book on that right now. I said the same thing last year. Let me change that. Cut it off from well. Just close it off differently.
All right, you sons of bitches.
That's it for 1986. I hope you got everything you wanted from back in time. Hope you didn't leave anything, folks. The door's closing.
And if there's plenty of stuff out there, if you guys have any comments or concerns, go ahead and leave them on our email, and
Yeah, we definitely
we'll
didn't
make
get to
sure
everything.
to check every single one of them.
We definitely didn't get to everything that there's stuff I have written down. So, we'll see if we won't come back to this year later on in life. So let us know if there's anything that you feel like we need to point out. And until next time, I wish I was then.
I wish I was then.
So until then, we
Wish we were then.